Hi friends, it's Mr. Alex from Adams Memorial Library, and it's time for another awesome craft. Now this time we're going to be making an apple craft out of a paper plate, and there are two ways that you can participate. The first way is that if you'd like to make it here in the library with us, you can come on in and we'll have a DIY craft table all set up and ready to go. You'll just ask for supplies at the children's desk downstairs. Or if you'd prefer to take your craft with you and make it at home, then you can also stop by the children's desk or our curbside pickup and ask for a take-home kit, and we'd be more than happy to give you one. Finally, if you can't make it into the library, that's okay too. You can always use supplies that you have at home and follow along with this video. So let me show you what we'll be using this week to make our paper plate apple, and we'll get started. For our paper plate apple craft, there's just a few things that we're going to need, and some of these you might find in your kit, either here at the library or in your take-home kit, and some of them you might want to gather up at home. So obviously the first thing we need is our full-size paper plate, and that's going to become our apple. Then to decorate it, we're going to need our sponge, which we're going to use as a paintbrush for our red paint. We'll have 2 scraps of paper, a green piece of paper and a brown piece of paper. And then we're also going to need to gather up separately a pair of scissors, markers, pencils, or something else to draw and write with, and a glue stick. Now, if you're doing this craft with us here at the library, we will have all of those extra things with us, but if you're following along with your own supplies or one of our craft kits, you will need to gather them up from home. So let's get everything that we need and get started. In order to make our paper plate apple craft, the first thing that we're going to do is actually set our paint and our sponge aside, and we're going to take our paper plate because we need to cut out the pieces for our apple core. So in order to do that, we're going to flip our paper plate over, and you might see these ridges here, and we're going to sort of use those as markers to create a semicircle on the side of our plate. So for instance, I am going to pick a spot part of the way down on our paper plate, right about here. And then I'm going to mark the corresponding ridge on the paper plate up top here, so that it's about even. Then, once I have 2 even marks, one up top and one down below, we're going to round out the space in between them with a semicircle, so that we have something that looks like this. At this point, we're going to take our scissors, and we're going to go ahead and cut that bit out of our paper plate. And we're going to need to repeat on the other side. So what we want to do is actually save this bit that we're cutting out here. So I'm going to hold on to this, and I'm actually going to lay it over the other side of my paper plate like this, so that we can trace an even portion on the other side. So I'll lay it over, gently trace around it, and we'll have something that looks like this. And we're going to cut that out as well. At this point, we're going to have something that looks like our apple's core, and we're going to be ready to apply our paint. So in order to do that, I'm going to set my scraps, pencil, and scissors aside for right now, and flip my paper plate back over so that the rounded side is on the bottom, like this. Then we're going to take our sponge and use it as a paintbrush, and take our red paint and apply the paint to the sections of our paper plate where the ridges are. So you can sort of see a line right here. Anything above that line, we definitely want to paint. And you can go below this line too. Your project will actually look a little bit better if it's a bit uneven, but however you want your apple to look is absolutely perfect. So we're going to go ahead and apply that paint now. And once we've taken our paint and applied it in a sort of jagged, uneven pattern to the top and bottom of our apple core, just like this, it's time to let it dry. Now, something to note is that you've probably seen me working on this piece of cardboard here, and that's because, as you can see, our paint sort of got everywhere. And if we were working right on our tablecloth, we would have gotten paint on it, and we definitely wouldn't want that to happen. So, whenever you're making your project, it might be a good idea to put down some cardboard or newspaper or something else that you can work on. But it's time to let this dry, and we're going to set it aside. Then, while we're waiting for our apple to dry, we can start working on the stem and the leaf. So to make the leaf, you can cut out a leaf shape any number of ways, but the way that I like to do, and what I would recommend, is to fold your piece of paper in half, just like this, and then using this edge as a guideline, we're going to cut out half of a leaf. And the effect that this is going to have is that if we cut our leaf out this way, then when we open our shape up like this, it's going to be perfectly even on both sides. So you can go ahead and cut a leaf out however you want your leaf to look. It doesn't have to look like mine. And then we might want to decorate it. So I'm going to take our marker, and I think that my leaf should have a line down the middle, just like this. So I'm going to go ahead, add that line, and my leaf will be done. Then it's time to cut out our stem. Now, you may like your stem at this width, and actually that looks pretty good already with my leaf. But if we want to narrow it up just a little bit, we can take our scissors and just cut off a little bit, making our stem as long or as short as we want, or as narrow or as wide as we want. And then once we have something that we're happy with, just like this, then we're going to take our glue stick, apply a little bit of glue to our stem here, and then stick our stem to our leaf, just like this. Now, we're also going to need to let this dry, so I'm going to set it on our cardboard here, and then we'll come back and assemble our finished product. See you in a couple minutes. Now that our paint's dried, it's time to take our stem and leaf, as well as our apple core, and combine our finished product. So we're going to take our glue stick again, and we will add a little bit of glue to the bottom of our stem and leaf. And then glue that to our apple. So we'll take it just like this. And we may need to apply a little bit of pressure, but eventually our stem and leaf should stick just like this. Then it's time to add our apple seeds in the center. And so we'll just take and draw in our 3 apple seeds in the middle. You can do this with your marker, your crayons, whatever it is that you have to decorate with. And there mine are. So we have one good-looking paper plate apple. Now, at this point, you might be asking, what can I do with my paper plate apple? And there are quite a few things that you can do with it, depending on what you might have. If you've got magnets at home, you could glue some magnets to the back of this and hang it on your fridge. Or what Miss Karen and I like to do is get a piece of yarn or string and hang it from a hook or a doorknob or somewhere else in your house. So in order to do that, I'm going to take my handy dandy hole punch. I'm going to punch a hole in the top of my paper plate, just like that. And then I'm going to take my yarn or my string and feed it through, tying the top off in a knot. And once I've tied that knot off, up at the top here, I can get my scissors back out, trim that off just a little bit, and now my apple will hang. And like I said, we can hang that in a window, a door, or anywhere else in your house that you might have that you would like to show off your apple craft. I want to thank everybody who joined us today to make our apple craft. And don't forget that I'd love to see pictures of how your craft turned out. So be sure to send them on over to us at kids@adamslib.org. Also, make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube to get updates not only about everything going on here at the library, but also future crafts. And as always, happy crafting, everybody.